welcome to the Breton channel. Today we'll be talking about calibrating extruder. Basically, this is the part of your 3D printer that is pushing filament. So seems easy, but you need to have it calibrated for the whole thing to function properly. And if we have a look at the stepper motor with the extruder gear, basically what happens, the stepper is rotating and this gear or other gear that you might have in your specific extruder is pushing filament. So basically what you calibrate is the amount of movement that is needed to extrude specific amount of filament, and depending on your firmware this will be either steps per millimeter for firmwares like Merlin or Repetier, or rotation distance, which is a parameter that is used by Clipper. So my video will be showing how to calibrate it for Clipper and for the rotation distance parameter. However, it is exactly the same procedure. The difference is that one value is directly proportional, the other one is inversely proportional. So basically steps per millimeter means how many steps the extruder needs to make to push out a millimeter of filament. So basically if you increase the number of steps, you will get less filament out. And in case of Clipper, when you do that, it is directly proportional. So rotation distance means how much filament is pushed for one full rotation of your stepper motor. So basically if you increase the rotation distance, you will get more filament out of your extruder. So the basic idea is to extrude an amount of filament using the interface, the required amount of filament, let's say 100 millimeters, and then measure how much actually we have extruded. And in case, so for example, we tell the printer to extrude 100 millimeters of filament, it did the thing, and we measure that actually the extruded part of filament is 110 millimeters, right? So we have 10% too much. In case of rotation distance, we just check our rotation distance value and multiply it by this 1.1 factor. And in case of steps per millimeter, we take our steps per millimeter and divide it by this factor. And the factor is basically what we got divided by what we wanted to have. So if we got 110 and we wanted 100, then this factor is 110 divided by 100, which is 1.1. And in that's it. So let's start doing it, and you'll see an example how we do it. It's an iterative process, so if you do it once or twice, you will be more precise and closer to the best result. Here we can see my extruder with the filament sticking outside. The bottom tube is connected to another extruder because I'm in the middle of the change in my printer setup, so we have easy access and we can check things basically. And here is my fluid interface as I'm running Clipper on my printer, and as you can see it's already warmed up, and I can extrude some amount of filament. And to make it precise, I usually extrude 100 mils. Let's make it slightly faster. And what I do first, I cut this piece flat here, right? So now it should be flush roughly here. And I press extrude here on the interface. And as you can see, this is alive and moving. And what we need to do now, we need to simply measure this, right? It might not be that easy, But let's see if it will fit on the screen. It won't. So what we will do, we will cut it down. And now it should be easier to measure the animal. So it won't be super precise. If I would be doing very much for real, I would make it more straight, even more straight with some straight line. So it says 139.8. So what we do now, and we know it should be 100, which basically means that we'll need to multiply our number. If we go to the config here, we can see that in the printer config, somewhere down there in the extruder section, which is right here, we have a rotation distance. If we go to Clipper documentation, and I should have it here open, the rotation distance is the amount of distance that the axis moves with one full revolution of a stepper motor. So basically, if we are getting too much of the filament, it means we need to increase this amount. And as we should have 100 millimeters and we are having 131.8, 131.8, what we do, we go to the calculator, we have our 1.318 times the amount that we have currently in the config, which is 6, right? Times 6 equals 7.908. So that's our number. We come back, change it here. And as you can see, my old number is here. So it seems like we are close. We save, restart, wait for the Clippy to connect to the printer, to the MCU. We need to make sure that we still have the hot end. Otherwise, it won't let us extrude. So we need to make it 180 again. And let's extrude again 100 mils in the speed of 10 mils per second. Extrude. And it's alive. It's moving again. Let me cut it. So here is my straight edge, maybe not a super sexy thing, but we can be way more precise in measuring. And you see 137. So what we actually should do, we should now come back to our config, 7.908, 7.908 times 10037, and it's slightly higher number, 7937 something. And we come back, and as you can see, we are getting to a number that I ended up some time ago with, which is pretty close. And we can do multiple iterations until we are satisfied with our 100 mils. Usually you need to do 1 or 2 iterations before you are close enough. Okay, and that's it. And your stepper, your extruder stepper now is configured properly. If you're using different firmware than I, then you have your steps per millimeter parameter, but you will do exactly the same procedure. You'll be just changing different value in your config. calibrating extruder is one of the first calibrations to do, mainly because many things depend on it, and this particular parameter is independent on anything else because just this mechanical ratio of your gear. So you should start with it. Once it's done, you can start calibrating other things like proper temperature for a given filament or other parameters. But once your extruder calibration is correct, maybe not perfect, but good enough, correct, then you should be able to get watertight prints, nice surfaces, no gaps, and so on and so forth. Okay, so thanks for watching. Give me thumbs up if you like the content and let me know what else would you like to hear about. Thanks. Happy printing.